You are sitting in front of a blank document. The cursor is blinking. You typed your name and phone number. Now there is a section labeled Work Experience, and you have nothing to write under it. The resume template assumes you already have a job history. The application portal asks for previous employers. The system will not let you submit without filling that field. The entire process is designed as if the only proof of capability is a paycheck you already received. That is the lie they built the process on. They pretend only paid work counts, so you believe you have nothing to offer when you have been building experience the whole time. The question is not whether you have experience. The question is whether you know how to name it. My name is Desmond Ray. I spent 28 years in corporate talent acquisition, first as a recruiter and later running candidate screening for a large multinational. I read thousands of first resumes, and the first thing a hiring manager looks at is the line directly under your name. That line is your professional title, and it does more work than any other sentence on the page. It tells the reader how to interpret everything below. It sets the frame for your entire candidacy before anyone reads another word. Most first-time resume writers put nothing there, or they write recent graduate or seeking entry-level position. Those phrases tell the hiring manager nothing. They describe your status, not your direction. A hiring manager does not care that you recently graduated. They care what field you are entering and whether you understand what you are applying for. Write a direction-based title instead. Marketing graduate, computer science student, aspiring data analyst. Each signals intent and field. It tells the reader you know where you are headed and that this application is part of that path, not a blind submission. The difference matters because hiring managers skim. They scan the top of the page first, looking for signals that tell them whether to keep reading or move to the next file. Your professional title is that signal. It answers the question they are asking. Does this person know what they are applying for? If the posting is for a data analyst role and your title says aspiring data analyst, the reader knows you understand the position and built the resume around it. If your title says recent graduate, the reader knows you sent the same resume to every posting and they are holding a generic document not written for them. The title does not promise you already have the job. It promises you understand what the job is and that you are building toward it. That is what hiring managers look for in a first resume, not proof you already did the work. Proof you understand what the work is and can explain how your background connects to it. The first decision is not what to list under experience. The first decision is what to call yourself in the line under your name, because that line tells the hiring manager how to read everything that follows. The resume template says work experience at the top of the section. Change it. The heading is experience, and the difference is not cosmetic. Work experience is a narrow category. Experience is not. The system told you only paid jobs count, and you believed it because every template and form reinforced the same assumption. But hiring managers are not looking for proof you collected a paycheck. They are looking for proof you can execute tasks and deliver results. Compensation has nothing to do with that. The strongest first resumes were rarely from candidates who held the most jobs. They were from candidates who understood that experience means you did something, completed it, and can describe what changed because you did it. Payment is not part of that equation. Internships qualify. Volunteer work qualifies. Student organizations qualify. Freelance projects qualify. Side hustles qualify. Personal projects qualify. If you organized an event, you demonstrated project management. If you ran a social media account for a campus group, you demonstrated digital communication. If you built a website for a friend's small business, you demonstrated technical problem solving. None required a paycheck to prove you did them. The mistake most first-time resume writers make is listing these activities as if they were hobbies. They write volunteer at local food bank or member of campus marketing club and leave it at that. A hiring manager reading that line learns you showed up and nothing else. Showing up is not experience. Completing something is experience. Format every entry with an action verb, the task you performed, and the result you produced. Increased Instagram engagement 40% over 3 months by posting daily content aligned with follower interests. Organized a campus fundraiser that brought in $1,200 for local youth programs. Built a portfolio website for a freelance graphic designer that increased client inquiries 30% in the first month. Those sentences prove capability. They show you understood a goal, took action toward it, and produced a measurable outcome. The hiring manager does not care whether you were paid. They care whether you can describe what you accomplished and whether that description signals you understand how work gets done. A volunteer role, formatted with outcomes, reads exactly like a paid role, formatted with outcomes, because the structure is identical and the proof of capability is identical. This is why the section is called experience and not work experience. The broader label is deliberate. It tells you the category includes anything where you executed a task and produced a result, regardless of the transaction behind it. When you sit down to write that section, change the heading. Write experience, not work experience. Then list every internship, volunteer role, student organization responsibility, freelance project, side hustle, and personal project where you completed something and can describe the outcome. Format each with the action verb, the task, and the result. The structure is what makes it professional, not the money. The format for a first resume is functional, not chronological. Chronological resumes list jobs in reverse order and assume the reader cares most about where you worked and when. Functional resumes emphasize what you can do, and that is what matters when you do not have a long employment history. The order is header with contact information, professional summary, education, experience, and skills. The header is straightforward. Your name, phone number, email address, city, and state. Do not include your full street address. Do not include a photo unless the posting explicitly asks for one. The professional summary comes next. 2 to 3 sentences, future-oriented, not backward-looking. It tells the hiring manager where you are headed and what you bring to the role. Write it in alignment with the specific position. If the posting is for a marketing coordinator role, reference marketing skills, relevant coursework, and your interest in that field. The summary is not universal. It is tailored to the role. Education comes next, and for students and recent graduates, education is placed above experience. When you do not have a long work history, your education is your primary credential. It demonstrates learning capacity, and that is what hiring managers evaluate in a first resume. List your degree, institution, graduation date or expected graduation date, and location. If your GPA is above 3.5, include it. Below that, leave it off. What matters more is what you add below the degree line. List relevant coursework if the courses align with the role. A marketing position benefits from coursework in consumer behavior, digital marketing, and market research. Do not list every class. List the ones that connect directly to the job. If you completed a thesis, capstone project, or independent study, list it. Describe it in one line with the same structure you will use in the experience section. Action verb, task, result. Conducted a capstone project analyzing social media engagement trends for small businesses, resulting in a 40-page report presented to faculty and local business owners. That sentence proves research ability, written communication, and project completion. Experience comes after education, not before it. This is the section we already covered, and it includes internships, volunteer work, student organizations, freelance projects, side hustles, and personal projects. Format every entry with an action verb, the task, and the result. Skills come last. A bulleted list including both hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are technical, proficiency in Microsoft Excel, experience with Adobe Creative Suite, programming languages like Python or Java, fluency in a second language. Soft skills are interpersonal, leadership, communication, teamwork, problem solving. The key is specificity. Do not write proficient in Microsoft Office. Write proficient in Microsoft Excel, including pivot tables, VLOOKUP functions, and data visualization. Do not write good communicator. Write experienced in written and verbal communication through presentations to campus organizations and written reports submitted to faculty advisors. Specificity proves capability. Vague labels prove nothing. There is a section between the professional summary and education that does more persuasion work than any other part of the resume. It is called Highlights of Qualifications, and it is 3 to 4 bullet points that align directly with the position you are applying for. This is not a list of everything you have ever done. It is a targeted argument for why you are the right fit for this specific role, and it is written before the hiring manager reads the details of your background. The resumes that move to the next round were almost always the ones where the candidate understood this section was doing strategy work, not documentation work. The hiring manager is asking, does this person understand what I need, and do they have the foundation to deliver it? The Highlights of Qualifications section answers that question in 3 or 4 lines. You draw from 3 sources: your education achievements, your transferable soft skills, and your general aptitude for the field you are entering. Each bullet point is specific, connects to the posting, and is future-oriented. If the posting is for a marketing coordinator role, your highlights might include a bullet about your coursework in digital marketing and consumer behavior, a bullet about your experience managing social media for a campus organization, and a bullet about your proficiency in Adobe Creative Suite. None describe a paid marketing job, but together they prove you understand the field, have practiced relevant skills, and are prepared to apply them professionally. If the posting is for a data analyst role, your highlights might include a bullet about your academic background in statistics and programming, a bullet about your capstone project analyzing consumer data trends, and a bullet about your technical proficiency in Python and SQL. The difference between this section and the experience section is direction. Experience describes what you did. Highlights of qualifications describe what you bring to the role you are applying for. Experience is backward-looking. Highlights are forward-looking. Most first-time resume writers skip this section entirely, or they write strong communication skills and ability to work in a team. Those lines prove nothing because they are generic. The way to write this section is to read the job posting first and identify the 3 or 4 priorities the employer listed. Your highlights of qualifications should include bullets that address all 3 using your education, projects, or transferable skills as proof. The wording matters. If the posting says advanced Spanish proficiency, write advanced Spanish proficiency in your highlights or skills section. Do not write fluent in Spanish or conversational Spanish speaker. Match the exact phrasing the employer used, because that signals you read the posting carefully, understood what they asked for, and aligned your resume with their stated needs. The highlights of qualifications section is where you prove you are not sending a generic resume. You are sending a document written specifically for this role, and you demonstrate that by aligning your language with the posting's language and your qualifications with the posting's priorities. The section sits at the top of the resume, right after the professional summary, because its purpose is to persuade before the hiring manager digs into the details. If they read your highlights and see that you address the things they care about most, they will keep reading. If they see vague generalities or mismatched qualifications, they will move to the next file without ever looking at your education or experience. When you write it, ask yourself, if the hiring manager only read these 3 or 4 bullet points and nothing else, would they understand why I am a fit for this role? If yes, the section is doing its job. If no, you are listing qualifications instead of building an argument, and you need to rewrite it. You have written the highlights. You have formatted your experience entries with action verbs and outcomes. Now you are staring at the skills section, trying to decide how to phrase your language proficiency. The job posting says advanced Spanish proficiency, and you are fluent in Spanish. You write fluent in Spanish in your skills section because that is how you would describe it to a friend. That resume goes into the discard pile. The rule is simple. Match the exact wording from the job description wherever it fits. If the posting says advanced Spanish proficiency, write advanced Spanish proficiency on your resume. If the posting says proficient in Microsoft Excel, write proficient in Microsoft Excel, not experienced with spreadsheet software. If the posting says strong written communication skills, write strong written communication skills, not good at writing. The single most common mistake on first resumes is paraphrasing the job posting instead of mirroring it. The candidate reads the requirements, understands what the employer is asking for, and then rewrites the language in their own words. What matters is alignment, and alignment is demonstrated through exact wording, not interpretation. Exact wording signals you read the posting carefully, understood what they asked for, and built your resume around their stated needs instead of your own assumptions. When the posting says advanced Spanish proficiency and your resume says fluent in Spanish, the hiring manager sees a candidate who either did not read the posting closely or decided their phrasing was better than the employer's. Both conclusions work against you. Where do you apply this principle? 2 places: the skills section and the experience descriptions. In the skills section, list every skill the posting mentions that you actually possess, using the exact phrasing from the posting. If they listed 5 required skills and 3 preferred skills, and you have 6 of those 8, list all 6 using the language they used. Do not rephrase. Copy the phrase directly from the posting. In the experience descriptions, adapt your language to match the posting without copying it word for word. If the posting says the role requires project management experience and you organized a campus fundraiser, describe that fundraiser using project management language. Managed a 3-month fundraising project that required coordinating volunteers, securing vendor partnerships, and delivering results within budget. The phrase project management does not appear in that sentence, but the language mirrors the posting's priorities: coordination, partnership, delivery, budget. Generic resumes get filtered out because the hiring manager skimmed the first few lines, saw no evidence the candidate read the posting, and moved to the next file. Hiring managers make quick decisions based on what they see in those first moments, and if those moments do not show alignment, they move on. Tailoring is not optional. It is the baseline requirement, and exact wording is how you prove you did it. Before you submit the resume, open the job posting and compare the language. Find every skill they listed, every qualification they mentioned, every priority they emphasized, and check whether your resume addresses it using the same phrasing. If it does not, rewrite the line. Every line in your experience section follows the same structure: action, verb, task, result. The formula is the difference between a resume that proves capability and a resume that proves you filled a chair. The resumes that move forward were the ones where the candidate understood that hiring managers do not care what you were responsible for. They care what you accomplished. Responsibility is a list of duties. Accomplishment is proof you delivered something measurable or observable. The mistake most first-time resume writers make is listing their duties as if the hiring manager will assume outcomes. They write "manage social media accounts for Campus Marketing Club." That sentence tells me you had access to the accounts. It does not tell me what happened because you had access. Rewrite it with the outcome. Increased Instagram engagement 40% over 3 months by posting daily content aligned with follower interests. Now the sentence proves capability. It shows you understood a goal, took action toward it, and produced a measurable result. The formula is always the same. Start with an action verb: increased, organized, developed, managed, coordinated, designed, implemented. Follow the verb with the task. What were you working on? End with the result. What changed because you did this? The result proves the work produced an outcome, not just activity. Outcomes prove capability, and duties only prove you showed up. A hiring manager reading increased Instagram engagement 40% over 3 months by posting daily content aligned with follower interests learns you understood engagement metrics, identified a strategy to improve them, and executed that strategy successfully over a defined period. This is true for every entry in your experience section, whether it was paid or unpaid. Volunteer work, formatted with outcomes, reads exactly like paid work, formatted with outcomes, because the structure is identical. Organized a volunteer training program for 15 new members, resulting in 95% retention over 6 months. That sentence could describe a paid human resources role or a volunteer leadership position. The hiring manager does not know which it was, and they do not care because the sentence proves project management, training design, and measurable success. The same applies to personal projects. Built a portfolio website for a freelance graphic designer, increasing client inquiries 30% in the first month. That sentence proves technical skill, client communication, and result-oriented execution. Whether you were paid for it does not appear in the line, and it does not need to. How do you find the outcome when you are staring at an unpaid role or a personal project? Ask yourself, what changed because I did this? Did a number go up? Did a problem get solved? Did something get completed that was not completed before? Those are all outcomes, and they all qualify as proof. If you organized a campus event, the outcome is attendance numbers, funds raised, or feedback from participants. If you managed a social media account, the outcome is engagement metrics, follower growth, or content reach. If you built a website, the outcome is traffic numbers, client inquiries, or user feedback. If you tutored students, the outcome is grade improvements, passing rates, or testimonials. Every activity has an outcome if you look for it. Numbers are the strongest outcomes because they are specific and verifiable. Increased event attendance 25% compared to the prior year. Raised $1,200 for local youth programs in a single 3-hour event. Improved average tutoring student grades from C- to B+ over 1 semester. Numbers carry weight because they are concrete, but not every outcome has a number, and that is fine. Observable outcomes work too. Designed a new training manual for volunteer onboarding that was adopted organization-wide. Coordinated a team of 8 volunteers to complete a community cleanup project 2 weeks ahead of schedule. Presented a capstone research project to faculty and local business owners, receiving feedback that informed ongoing marketing strategies. Those sentences describe outcomes that are observable and verifiable, even without a number attached. The key is to describe the change. What was different after you did this compared to before? If nothing was different, the activity does not belong on your resume because it does not prove capability. It proves participation, and participation is not experience. Completion is experience. Apply this formula to everything, every internship, every volunteer role, every student organization responsibility, every freelance project, every side hustle, every personal project. If you did it and can describe what changed because you did it, format it with an action verb, the task and the result, and it qualifies as professional experience. The hiring managers I worked with for nearly 3 decades did not care whether you were paid for the work. They cared whether the work proved you could execute tasks, deliver results, and communicate what you accomplished in clear, professional language. The structure I just gave you is how you prove all 3. You were never missing experience. The system lied to you about what counted, and you believed it. The problem was never your background. The problem was the framework you were told to use. Experience is proof of capability. Compensation is irrelevant. A volunteer role where you organized an event and delivered measurable results proves exactly the same thing a paid role proves. You understood a goal, executed a plan, and produced an outcome. The hiring manager does not care which came with a paycheck. They care whether you can describe what you did and what changed because you did it. So the resume you are about to submit is not a confession of what you lack. It is a record of what you built. Label the section experience, not work experience. Format every entry with an action verb, a task, and a result. Tailor the wording to match the job posting. The document is not a template. It is an argument for why you are prepared for the role, even though you have not held it before. This approach works best for entry-level roles, where hiring managers expect candidates to prove potential rather than experience. It will not help you compete for senior positions that require years of direct industry experience, and tailoring alone cannot replace actual qualifications when a role demands specialized certifications or technical depth you do not yet have. The functional format works when you are building your first resume, but hiring managers may still prefer chronological formats once you have accumulated relevant work history in your target field. Now tell me in the comments what experience you are adding to your first resume. What did you do? What changed because you did it? And how are you going to format it? The next step after you submit the resume is the interview, and that is where most candidates with strong resumes lose the offer. It is the natural next step after today. Before you close this tab, go back to your resume and check 3 things. Is the section labeled experience? Is every entry formatted with an outcome, not a duty? Did you match the exact wording from the job posting? If the answer to all 3 is yes, you are done. If the answer to any of them is no, fix it now, because the hiring manager will notice and they will move to the next file. The people who built careers with their hands before anyone told them they needed a degree to prove competence understood something we forgot. Capability is not a credential. It is what you did and what changed because you did it. That is the only proof that ever mattered.